You've probably added words to your videos like a title, label, or even captioning and moved on. But what if the way you're using text is actually hurting your video? You're going to learn why it's important, a simple way to make your words stand out, and at the end, I'm going to share with you something that's going to help you get started faster. Adding words isn't just about filling empty space, it's about allowing your viewers to really follow along so that they can understand your message. When done right, words can highlight important things. But if the words on your screen are hard to read or acts as a distraction instead of support, it can frustrate people. That means that they might leave the video without understanding what you have to say. Getting this right isn't just a bonus, it's a must for sharing what's important to your viewers. Let's go ahead and design something in Canva so that you can see how simple this really can be. On Canva's homepage, go to the video icon and then select landscape. This is going to be perfect for your long form video. Click R. You're going to size it and position it however you would like. I don't know about you, but having all of this extra stuff pop up bothers me a lot when I'm designing. Click on the rectangle, right click, hide element timing, and then click pages. Click on the rectangle, click on the color icon, and choose a color. This is one color that I really like to use. It is a solid color, but here is that same color with a little bit of a gradient. If you have Canva Pro, you can use your brand kit to set up different things. For example, if you look at mine, I've got the TCC color palette where I might have this color or a shade of black, a shade of white, and this green. But then I also have one that I call TCC gradients, where it's gradients that I use inside of my video or maybe on my thumbnails. There's also default colors, which you could use. Just try to make something that complements your video instead of takes away from your video. There's also some default gradient colors. Let me show you how to make a gradient. Choose the solid color you want, click on add a new color, and then switch from solid to gradient. It's going to automatically give me a color. What I want to do instead is click on that first color, select that gradient color, Control C, and then go to the next one and Control V. That's going to be the exact same shade. What I will do is just make a tiny adjustment. I'll move it over just a little bit. We can look at the different styles. It is super subtle. Let's add a rounded edge. We're going to click on a rectangle and then go up here. And I'm noticing that some things have a UI change. That means that there's probably something different underneath. We're just going to go to corner rounding. Let's type in 15 because that will give it a nice subtle edge. You will be able to see that rounded edge on the bottom. We're going to left click the rectangle and just bring that down so that part of it is below the canvas. The other thing we want to make sure, at least for this particular one, is that it is in the middle. So click position, not middle, I stand corrected, in the center. So you want it in the center of your design, even though you could, if you wanted, put it on the left. Now that our base shape and color and style are all set, we're going to add some texture to this. What we're going to look up in Elements is textured, grunge, transparent background. We're going to click on graphic, textured grunge background. I love this one. If you don't have Canva Pro, you don't have to use this sort of textured look, or you can find a textured look that is free. If you see something that looks like this graphic is what I used on top of it. Size it to be the same as this rectangle. And we also want to get the corner rounding the same. So I'm clicking the image, going to the corner rounding and typing in 15. And now I'm going to position it to be right on top. Click on that top image, click on this that says transparency, and reduce the transparency. I tend for the lower thirds, I tend to go way down to like 25. All of this was a setup for our words. Type T on the keyboard. I'm just going to size it up here so that you can see it, and then we're going to move it down on this area. See link in description. We're going to lower this down here. Now, we don't have to get this perfect in terms of the size for the videos yet, but we do need to get it proportioned within the shape. So let's reduce this and put this in the middle. Even this black text may not work, so click on text. You can change it to a different color, like white if you would like. You can add a little effect, and let's add lift. That's going to lift the text off the screen. If your sentence is super short like this one, you may want to reduce the size of the extra. So now that I've adjusted the shape and the words, and it's how I want this to make sure that it is positioned correctly. Click the words, click on position, and make sure the words are in the center. What we're going to do is go to layers. Left click that top texture layer and that bottom layer. We're going to group it, go over to arrange, and click center. You can change the font if you want by clicking the words and then clicking what font it is and changing it. But I would recommend using an easy to read font like Canva Sans as opposed to one that's a little more difficult to read like Archetype. The key here is making sure that your words are easy to read. Once it looks like the way you want, click share. Click download, down click, and change this to a PNG so that you can download it with a transparent background. This is a key part. That does require a Canva Pro subscription. So if you want to support the channel and you've not tried Canva Pro before, use my link in the description. If you want to animate this inside of Canva, you absolutely can. For example, click the word and click animate, typewriter, or ascend. I like blur or succession. If you want to use one of Canva's animations, you can, but you will need to upload either the part where you want to add the animation into Canva and then download that as a video to put in your video editor, or upload the full video into Canva. And sometimes that gets a little bit tricky, especially if it's a longer file. And here's the best part. Once you've designed one, you can use it over and over and over again. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Bring the image to the video editor of your choice. You want to add the image to your video editor. In Camtasia, I typically use a keyboard shortcut, but today we're going to go with File, Import, Media, and then the example lower third I made. Remember, we did download this with a transparent background. And the reason why I did that is so that when I drag this down just above the talking head where I want to add it, the only thing you see, you don't see that white background, you only see the lower third. And that's exactly what I want. Maybe I'll look at this and go, oh, I don't know that I necessarily want it this big. Maybe I want it a little smaller. Instead of going back into Canva, I just work on it inside my video editor by shrinking it. Let's scale this down a little bit. And then I'm going to drop it all the way to the bottom of the screen. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't centered exactly when I filmed this clip, so I have a dilemma now. Do I move this over so that it's centered with me, or do I move it over so that it's on the edge, or do I size this so that it is more centered? What looks best to you and what's not going to be overwhelming to the viewer. And what I want it to do is sort of animate and go from not in frame to being in frame. I'm just going to add a custom animation. I'm going to select the clip, and by clip, I mean the image with the transparent background, the lower third. I'm going to go to animations. There's one called custom. I'm going to left click custom and drag it to that clip. It automatically went to the end of the custom animation. At the beginning of the clip, I want it out of frame. I'm going to take this to the beginning of the clip, left click, and drag it out of frame. When I play it, it would look like this. Check out the link in the description box. I can make a decision. Is that too slow? Is that too fast? If it's too slow, I can left click this red, move it a little bit to the left. Check out the link. I like that a lot better. And then at the end of the clip, instead of doing custom, I'm going to click this one that says restore. Left click. I'm going to mess with the white, the little white dot instead, and left click and drag this way. Does it stay up there long enough for someone to be able to read it? Does it need to be a little bit longer? Does it need to be shorter? Those are the sort of things that are important here. Let's take a look at this little test clip. This is a sample clip where I'm going to say, hey, check out the link in the description box below so that you know how to get whatever it is that I'm wanting you to get. That actually was the perfect timing. If I wanted it to be shorter, I could just left click this arrow and send it backwards, and it would just automatically shrink out at that point. To help you get started even faster, I'm giving away a Canva template to all of my newsletter subscribers. And of course, I've linked that in the description box below. I realized I forgot to show you a little bit about what that's going to be. You're actually going to get the lower third that says see link in description that we designed today, including the image I used with the font that I used and the colors. In addition to that, I'm going to give you one that is left justified. The words are left justified and the lower third is left justified, just in case you would like that. In addition to that, I'm giving you 6 different fonts that you could use. I'm also sharing with you 4 different gradients and 4 different solid colors that you could use. And essentially, this is just a lower third starter pack. Make it easier on yourself. Use my starter pack. It's free. Watch this next to see the tool that I use every single time I plan, film, or even edit a video that helps the process go so much faster. And if you found this useful, share it with a friend that could use it too.